Hey Warriors, Professor Chris here, WayOfTheWarrior.org, Private Lesson Revolution. Today I wanted to talk a little bit about the story behind Private Lesson Revolution and teaching high-end private lessons and how I kind of fell into that. I know some of you guys have heard this before, but back in the late 90s, I went through a pretty aggressive strain of cancer for 3 years. And I really couldn't do much. Martial arts brought me through it. Training martial arts is what helped me actually find it in the first place. When I was done and everything, and with chemo and surgeries and whatever else, like my career of where I was going before was just totally off track. And I was ready to start teaching in as a high school teacher, and my wife and I at the time we needed money. We just needed money, and she was in school, and we had just been through this, and medical bills were through the roof, and all this other stuff, and we just needed money quickly. And when we took a real hard look at what assets we had. We didn't have anything we could sell because we've already been through that to pay the medical bills off. But the only thing of value we had was my experience as a martial artist. And told everybody this is what I was going to do, that I was going to go and start teaching private lessons, and everybody thought, of course, I was a little crazy. And then when I told them how much I was going to really start charging, they thought I was really crazy, until I got my first client. It all went from there, and I reinvested that money over and over to get more clients and more advertising, and then of course to learn even better how to get more clients and how to serve those clients and enroll those clients, and just over and over and over. And then that eventually grew into a whole book of private clients back in northern New Jersey, which then I used that money plus the money from my day job to reinvest, and I started a publishing company. And I did that for 10 years, right? And the underlying concept was still this very specific client and customer acquisition strategy of people who wanted a very specific experience, transformation, or outcome that I could provide based on my skills that I had developed in the past or were learning and had developed now, both as a martial artist, in business, in marketing, as an educator, and all the things that I've done, right? And what's funny is that eventually I grew that publishing company to just it was the largest martial arts publishing company in the world. And about a decade ago, I was very unhappy with it. It had attracted, there was some, it was really my first big business venture outside of obviously, teaching high-end private lessons. There were some holes in my education and even in my judgment and whatnot. I listened to some wrong people. I definitely hired and went into business with some serious wrong people. It attracted a lot of kind of vipers to that nest. And when I had that moment of clarity of, oh crap, I don't want to do this anymore. It kind of fell apart, and and I put some of it aside and whatever else. And guess where I went? I went back to the beginning, right? Where I was happiest most, and started teaching high-end private lessons again. And then that generated the revenue to take over one of the biggest schools in the world. It helped to fix that. And then when I decided that, okay, I want to go back to private lessons again only, I gave that back to the original owners, so they were very happy with the 30 new students, high-end students coming into the school per month. But it's the same principles, right? It's the same proven process, which is find who your martial arts and your life skills can greatest impact, right? Not who you can influence the most, right? But who you can actually transform the most, who you can actually help the most. Because, the number one advantage in any business is to find and feed a starving crowd. And as martial artists, it never ceases to amaze me, especially after this time of working with just hundreds of them, that every individual martial artist has used martial arts to just conquer almost insurmountable odds or obstacles or hurdles in their life, right? Much like I used it to stay strong over 3 years of 6 surgeries and several rounds of chemotherapy, right? If it wasn't for martial arts, right, and my mindset and the exercises that I knew and the my passion for it, there's no way. I had everyone from one of my friends to a number of roommates died when I was in the hospital with them, right? Literally right next to me. But it was that martial arts that drove me through it. And that's why one of my first high-end programs was helping other people going through cancer to keep strong mentally and physically so they could come out the other side stronger than before using martial arts, right? Same thing with my my main core program, which was helping student athletes who have trouble focusing in school, right? So, this whole idea of that martial arts can only be used for baseline tactical, low value self-defense or fighting, it was never like that. The only time it became like that was in the 1980s when everybody became a little lazy because the media was fully supportive between movies and TV shows, and Ninja Turtles and Chuck Norris and stuff like that, right? Everybody wanted ninjas. Everybody wanted to learn some martial arts, Karate Kid. Now it's like it was back in the 1950s and before, right? Is that martial arts is a lifestyle. It is a way to better yourself. And so what I've found is, listen, having a school is great if that school is filled with people looking for a transformational outcome, not just a tactical nonsense, right? Because that's where you have retention problems, and certainly not for just, an activity to do after school or after work, right? If it's an experience, great. But if it's an experience combined with a transformational outcome, that's really what you're talking about for maximum dollars, maximum retention, and maximum impact, which as martial arts instructors, what we really want for our students. But the best thing is like I've been saying, is that you don't need a school. You don't need a location. I did this for years without having, when I lived my wife and I and our first kid, we lived in a tiny condo. There was nowhere for me to train them. You know what I mean? I was still training at the dojo. That wasn't mine. I'm not going to bring my private clients there. I'm not going to take students away from my teacher, right? I'm going to serve the people that he's not able to or doesn't want to or just don't know that he's able to do that. And so I would go to their houses. I'd go to their office. In northern New Jersey, it was a little hard, but sometimes I trained them outside, right? California is much easier. Again, I would always revert back to this. I mean, even not too long ago, I was called upon to do some heavy-duty consulting in wealth management and real estate investing on the marketing and business side. And, I did that for a couple of years, and I was like, oh, my God, I don't like these people at all. And I'm going to go back to the martial arts. But underneath all that, I was still doing all my private lessons, right, my high-end private lessons. And then, a few years ago, one of my good friends and honestly a mentor of mine is like, Chris, we know you can help all business owners, but, when it comes to who you can help the most, who you like working with the most, and who would get the most out of everything you've been through, the processes you've developed, the $2 million of marketing education and business education you've invested over the course of your lifetime, don't you think that other struggling martial artists would want to do what you can do, and wouldn't you love to help them? And I was like, yeah. So that's what I've been doing for the last couple of years, and it's really one of the most meaningful things in my life. I love working with real martial artists that that have been fighting and hitting their head against the wall over and over and over, and they're like, oh man, if I could just get enough revenue in the door, then I could spend my life impacting other people, because that's what this is really about. Sure, you listen, you have to have some ambition, you have to have some drive, right? You have to want to be able to have to make the money to support yourself, your family, your loved ones, right? Or whatever goals you have. But the reason why is not so you can go out and buy Ferraris and yachts and honestly shit you don't need. It's so you have the freedom, right, to focus on your own training, your own studying, your own knowledge, your own improvement. So, martial arts and otherwise, so you can pass and transfer that knowledge on to your clients, and so on and so on and so on. And this economy that we're in was the more people you impact at the higher level that you impact them, the more income you make. It's as simple as that. So if you are an experienced martial artist, right? An experienced martial artist, a real martial artist, someone who has paid for lessons to study at the feet and underneath another established real martial artist who has a real established lineage. I do not want to help or cannot help guys who've, watched too much YouTube, too much Kung Fu theater, read even a million books, but have never stepped foot in a school or paid for lessons before. If that's not you, you're not a real martial artist. I can't help you. But if you are a real martial artist, if you have studied, if you have trained, right, if you have somebody else has passed on the knowledge to you and you've used that knowledge to overcome anything in your life, right, then we definitely need to talk about how you can use that knowledge and focus that knowledge into a curriculum of instruction, and then how to articulate what you do and frame what you do properly to attract the right starving crowd of people who want what you have and will pay you premium prices for it to help them. It's a win-win-win situation. Seriously, it's amazing. So, and we're happy to help you plan that out. So, if you haven't watched our free masterclass, how to make $10,000 a month teaching high-end private martial arts lessons, you can go to WayOfTheWarrior.org and just log in there and watch that. Or if you watched it, or if you've seen me and you've heard enough and you really want to talk to us about planning this out, and you're a real martial artist and you're 100% committed to making the impact and the income that you really want and deserve at this point in your life, then you can just go to WayOfTheWarrior.org/talk. You're going to see a calendar there. You book a call with us. Then there's going to be a application. We got to find out if you're real or not. And if we like what we see and we feel that we can help you, which most real martial artists we can, and we're happy to, then we'll have a planning session with you. It's on my dime. No cost to that. We just love serving the industry, and we'll help you plan it out. And if you want our help implementing that plan, fantastic. We can talk about that then. If not, we're going to always be sure to just direct you to the resources in the path that's going to serve you best. So that's it, guys, all right? This is just the best way to maximize and leverage your knowledge and maximize your income as a martial artist. So WayOfTheWarrior.org or WayOfTheWarrior.org/talk if you're ready to have a nice chat with us, okay? I'll talk to you guys later.